This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Clark Connection Podcast. It's great to be here with you. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. And look, this is the space where we talk all things leadership, personal growth, and entrepreneurship, helping you level up in every area of your life.
And I'm your co-host, Caitlin Michelet. We're excited that you're here with us today, bringing you another edition of Ask the Coach, our third installment, actually. And these episodes are quickly becoming listener favorite.
Yes. And look, you guys are bringing the heat. The questions about leadership, mindset, the growth habits, and how to show up strong in every area of your life. We're digging into that today.
So whether you're leading a team, launching a dream, or just trying to stay consistent on your goals, this episode is for you. Get ready for some straight talk, honest answers, and practical takeaways that you can use right away.
And so before we dive in, this episode of Ask the Coach is powered by Andrew over at Automate Integrate, helping leaders like you save time, streamline systems, and focus on what matters most. Just like this podcast is here to help you lead better, Automate Integrate is here to help your business run smarter. So thank you for the support and the work you do helping us reach more leaders just like you.
Thanks, Andrew. And hey, if you want to connect with Aaron, you can find him on all his socials. His handle is at coach_A_Clark, or through his website at coachaclark.com. And he will personally respond within 24 to 48 hours. I'll make sure of it. I got you.
And she will. And so, all right. But before we get into the questions, Caitlin, I'm going to flip the script real quick. So I got a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Be nervous. And so when you think about personal growth, what's a daily habit or practice that you swear by?
That's a good one. Because daily would imply that consistency, right? And discipline. That's hugely important. So I am definitely still learning that, but I would say that one thing that I am getting more disciplined about is positive audio. I need to get more into that reading, physical reading a book for sure. But I make sure that I listen to positive audio every single day. And I want to take it one step further, because one thing that I really believe in and is really important to me is actually transformative audio. So what I mean by that is I want to learn something, so my friends pick on me. I'm just not the kind of person that can sit there and watch a whole plot line unfold. I don't super love movies or like big series. I like documentaries and, even like reality TV, but I like to learn from them. So yeah, sometimes it's reality. Sometimes it's more, like true crime or commentary, or those positive audiobooks. But yeah, transformative, positive audio where I want to learn from somebody else and learn how to be a better person.
Oh, I agree. And I mean, I could ask myself this, but I would have sent like, hey, go back to episode 5, 7 keys of personal development. Now, the one I do swear by though is that reading. And I know we talked about that I think it was the last episode when they were asking, what would you do? What's one thing that you would tell all leaders they should do? And I was like, read. You've got to do that. And so I love that answer. Positive audio, great one. And so let's get into it. This is Ask the Coach right here on the Clark Connection podcast. And so what's the first one you got for me today, Caitlin?
Awesome. The first question that I've got for you is, what is a leadership lesson you learned the hard way? So got a little bit of backstory here, a little bit of discussion. We've all had moments where we realize after the fact what we should have done differently. And that's okay, because leadership isn't something that you just know how to do from day one. Learning to lead often takes real life experience, mistakes, awkward conversations, and learning how to bounce back when things don't go as planned. What's one mistake you've made as a leader that taught you how to be a stronger leader?
So how much time do we have for this answer?
Not enough.
Because I mean, I probably go to one from today or many of them.
Yesterday.
I'm trying to think through what would I say is that one that you said that a leadership lesson that I learned the hard way.
Yeah, a leadership lesson you learned the hard way. Something that taught you how to be a stronger leader.
You know, one we're going through right now that is definitely a tough one. You know, not paying attention. One that I would say, and really staying in touch with the people in your organization, having a good pulse on your organization. That we're going through that pretty tough time. That with Delta, we've got all new financial aid people, and yeah, that's a tough one. Got a lot of new people, and some of that I would say was because I wasn't as aware of what was going on. But that, early on, I would say it was learning to lead by example. That was one that I learned real early on, that you can't, and I was taught that while I was working at Harley Davidson in New Orleans, and they had a boss that would come in and say that really my supervisor, he would come in and he would be going around and looking at stuff, and he'd say, "Aaron, why is that trash on the floor? Aaron, why is this over here?" And just really having to go through and pay attention to the little things. And being, just, and it's always the little things that it comes back to. But I'll say I'm trying to just think of like a real good specific story that I can go into.
I mean, that's a good one, because I feel like your job as a leader can feel very broad, so sometimes you can slip into um, that broad view and neglect the little details. But there's one that I'm thinking of that you and I have gone through in the past few years.
All right. Yeah. Lay it on. Because I mean, I totally have gone blank. I was like, man, what's something I can go through and think of?
Rolling out the new SIS.
Oh yeah, rolling out a new CRM. Yeah, that's
CRM. Like really any kind of, electronic database or anything like that. Because we've been through this at Delta twice now, but we learned a lot of big lessons with the first time.
right. And yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that one up, because that's a good one. Going through, anytime you're going through change, just knowing how important it is that to bring about the leaders on your staff, those key players, to make sure that they're on board and making sure that they're buying in. Because so we implemented our CRM, which I'm not going to name, and it was a complete disaster. and one that's, and
Much all at once.
well, and so I'll tell people this too, that, and the hard part is, especially at first, that I was trying to make sure that I kept a lot off of my other leaders' plate. That I wanted you guys to be focused on the task at hand, helping push your team to help more students. They get in school, change their lives. And so I was spending probably Monday through Friday, 80 hours a week, working on everything for the new CRM. Coming up to launch day, when we went to go launch it, I had legitimately been up probably about 48 to 72 hours at that point. And so when stuff goes wrong, you're not looking forward to hearing it. And
that's wrong.
And that's a tough one too, as the one putting it together, as the leader, as those trying to make that happen. That's one that you have to be willing and open to the optimizations from your team. And looking back on it, I would have gone, going forward, it was one when they started to implement the new SIS. That was one I was very adamant on. Guys, you have to get more people involved. You have to get more people involved. Yeah. And they wouldn't listen. And same thing, it's been an even bigger disaster. So, and so, I was, who was I listening to? No, I was talking to my friend Brian Kofsky. Brian's another content creator, and he was talking about how CRMs, that all CRMs they're gonna mess up. They're all flawed. But the biggest thing that it shows is, where are the cracks in your current processes and procedures? And I was like, ooh, dang, that's a good one. Is it really shows the faults in you as the human beings, because the systems typically just do whatever you tell it to do. So yeah, that was a good one. That's implementing any change. That is definitely one, because I won't. The next one, whenever I switch to the next one, it's not just going to be me. I'm not going to be the one the whole time. I'm going to be bringing in my leaders with me to go through this.
But you did definitely learn from that experience, and bringing on the SIS was something different. There was like a whole different team involved in that. But when we launched the new website, we put into practice some of the lessons that we learned with getting other eyes on it and like getting that feedback before it went live. And, being very strategic about on what day it launches, so that we've got people ready and waiting in the wings for when something does happen, because it will, but just trying to mitigate and like minimize the disaster, that it could be.
Oh yeah. And yeah, that's what I was just trying to think through as well. Like, what is some other stuff? Because man, guys, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna. I mean, it's inevitable. You are going to mess up as the leader, and in anything. I would say one was another good one is learning. Oh, and I can't remember if this was the first or second episode. That was learning how to actually coach and teach my team.
Mm-hmm.
So I really learned this one at Walker High School. This is one of my favorite ones to tell. And so I'll always remember this, because, I'd been on successful team after successful team after successful team, played on successful teams, was competing constantly for district championships, running to deep playoff runs, all that good stuff. And so when I got to Walker High School, we were talking about, or we had been working on cover 2. And I know I'm going to be speaking gibberish, so I'm not going to go in there, because most people will have no clue what I'm talking.
Yeah, translate, please.
So the offense was just giving us the business. We're getting beat literally. It's like, is there a defense on the field that like scoring touchdowns? It just looks like it's like flag football at this point. And so it was probably about the fifth or sixth time they burnt my safety, who was the previous year an all district player. And so they're getting there, and I'm just kind of like, I'm on him. I'm in, I'm that angry, like think young Nick Saban, like we're just in it, and he's just the whole time, and he's starting to swell up and get mad, and he finally just goes, "Coach, you keep saying 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, read 2-1, read 2-1. That number 1 is on the other side of the field, and we don't have a number 2." And it was like, and so I just remember, I remember like I had nothing to say because I was like, holy cow, we don't know how to count receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never coached anywhere, especially high school level, where the high school players didn't know how to count receivers. And so I took for granted that my team knew what to do. And so like I had to go walk off to the side and sit down. My head coach is yelling at me, like, "You're going to take that from him." And I was like, talk to the hand.
Yeah.
Because that was,
anybody that doesn't speak football, that's not what 2-1 means.
yeah, it's
fundamentally.
No, and you count receivers. You start from the outside. Number 1 is the furthest away from the football, and as you move forward, 2, 3.
And it has nothing to do with the numbers on their back.
Yes, it does not have to do with their jerseys.
Right.
No, thank you for translating that, but when that happened, it was just one of those that just learning how that in that moment, I then realized I had to spend a whole lot more time. And again, it goes back kind of like one of the answers. It all comes back down to the basics. I had to spend a lot of time. This is how we count receivers. This is how we take this step. And it shaped how I was as a coach to where a lot of my players, and this is why I'm so insistent even on with our admissions teams, they doing the basics so much that way it's just natural in the moment. That, they would always hear, Taj Ballard. He used to do a good Coach Clark impression. That whenever we would get out there, and he'd be like, "And guys, that y'all got to make sure y'all pushing off that front foot. There should be very little weight right there on that back foot. Keep your feet even." I mean, he did a good Coach Clark impression. It was hysterical. So yeah, that would be one, is taking for granted that my team knew.
Yeah.
But then not including enough people in changing stuff at work. And so that has made, anytime I'm looking to possibly change something, there's at least 3 or 4 people that I'm running through before I bring it to the group as a whole about doing that.
Yeah. That's a good one. And I love that story. That's a fun football / coaching leadership story. So.
Oh, yeah. I learned a lot. I mean, if you had a camera crew following me at Walker High School, that would be all the blunders of Coach Clark.
I just learned that apparently you had a thicker, Southern accent when you were coaching football. I never knew that. So.
Well,
yeah.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Awesome.
That was another one. They used to would do stuff intentionally to get me aggravated. That because growing up on the West Bank of New Orleans, I've really you sound like you're from Boston or something up north, we going to get the water in the quarter. And so they liked that when I'd get mad. And
yeah. Funny. Well, on that note, guys, don't forget to subscribe. All right. I mean, this is fun. Who wouldn't want to hang out with us for a half an hour?
Yeah, I was going to say, and then leave, guys. They drop a comment. Do you agree with that? And not necessarily agree with how I answered that, but what was your biggest blunder that shaped who you are as a leader? And And I know if you're like me, you could sit here, all these books on my shelves behind me, that there's not enough room for me to write all the blunders that have happened. But what would you say is the one that has shaped who you are?
Yeah, definitely would love to hear that. And again, don't forget to send your questions in as well, so we can answer your questions too. All right, speaking of questions, ready for question number 2?
I am. I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Let's do it. So the title of this one is, should it be a great leader's ultimate job to make themselves replaceable?
Yes. I mean, do I need to read the rest?
Done. Yeah.
No, continue.
Do you think a great leader is responsible for building others up so the team can thrive even without them? If so, does that mean the best leaders eventually work themselves out of a job? Or is there always a need for a guiding presence? What do you think, and what has been your experience?
So, yes, a great leader's job is ultimately to allow the team to function without them. That was one that I took a lot of pride in, especially when I was coaching. My players ran the team. I set up to where, and I didn't. It took me until probably the last 2 years that I was coaching to kind of realize what I was doing. I started it with the Central High School girls soccer team, where I said, "All right, here are my seniors. They're going to be the leaders," because I was tired of fielding. Hey, are we going to have practice today? It looks like it might rain. I think I got tired of having to field. Hey, I know y'all had a game, and on the schedule it says you have practice today, but are we going to have practice today? And some of those I just wouldn't answer back because it's like, yeah. So that was, and some of it too was, as I was talking, I saw one of my players not that long ago, and they were talking about that and how it's really helped that he's now an operator in the plant in charge of a lot of people. And I was like, dude, that was very intentional. My job, I started thinking, how do I help you become a better leader, not just for here? Because, I mean, yeah, I want to win games. And that's a reason we went that the last 3 years we were that district champions, that we played in the state championship. There's a reason we were there. It wasn't because I was this phenomenal coach who knew everything there was. That I understood that if I can get it to where that these guys and these gals can function without me, that we're going to be pretty darn good if they could do that. And so, well, yes, I would say it is my job. My job is to find people and empower people to function without me. So I should be working myself out of a job. That's my ultimate goal. I want, wherever I go, even my coaching clients, I tell them my ultimate goal is for you to not need me. I don't want, trust me, I still want you to call me, but I want ultimately for you to not need me, because if you don't need me, then I've successfully done my job.
I feel like this question is a perfect kind of illustration of the levels 4 and 5 of the 5 levels of leadership, because part of the question said, or is there always a need for a guiding presence? I think the answer to that question is yes. There is a need for a guiding presence, but it doesn't have to be you, So that's where, and just to kind of recap, because it has been a couple of episodes since we talked about the 5 levels of leadership. So I got this, Aaron. Don't worry. I got this. Okay. So level 1 is permission. So I'm the boss. Gotta listen to me because I'm the boss. Very basic, very, very lazy in my opinion, but sometimes it's necessary. Level 2 is, I don't remember the name exactly for it, but it's permission. So, wait, but is level 1 permission? No, that's position. Okay, rewind. Level 1 is position. Number 2 is permission, and that's the relationship. I follow you because I like you. And then from there is productivity. So I'm good at my job, and I'm going to make this team productive and successful. So that's productivity. Okay, so then moving into levels 4 and 5, this is where we talk about creating other leaders, training other leaders. So, like I said, with the guiding presence, yes, every team is going to need a leader. But if I'm a strong leader where I'm on level 4, level 5, I can train, someone on my team to be a leader where I don't have to be there all the time.
Yeah. And I'll say this too, because I mean, you, the leader, it's difficult. Oftentimes you're going to carry more weight than most people. So if you are just like a 1, 2, 3 person operation, it's hard for you to step away and like, hey, I need to go on vacation. But when you know if I'm on vacation, how are my bills getting paid? Like I'm basically shutting down the business and nothing's happening. And even if in any role that I'm currently in, it's the same thing. Like I don't want to have to go on vacation and have to, like, I mean, that was great that to where I could just, you know what? I'm not answering the phone. If they need me, they will call me. But I mean, I think even the one Levi was laughing at while we were fixing his dirt bike, and you asked me something, I go, I'm gonna be real honest. I'm trying to get this dirt bike fixed, and that sounds like a Monday morning problem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's always that need. But you should always be trying to, just because now I've got to the level 4 people development, my ultimate goal should be to get to the level 5, which is the pinnacle, where you're creating leaders who create other leaders. You're leading by multiplication, not addition. And so, I mean, while everybody would say, yeah, 2 plus 2 is great. But if I'm going by twos in multiplication, yeah, 2 times 2 is the same thing as 2 plus 2. But when I go 2 plus 4 versus 4 times 2, we're talking about an answer of 6 and an answer of 8. And it starts growing exponentially after that. Yeah. And it should be your goal as the leader to, what's the word? To continue to grow yourself, because, and that was where I was trying to come back to, is everything rises and falls on leadership. You can go look at any great team, and oftentimes the person in charge will tell you, I got complacent, I got lazy, I got comfortable. And that's why we struggle. And so it's really quite a thing that you should be always looking to grow and get better, because that's where I'm at now, is I'm trying to grow and get better. How do we continue to grow and get better? Because we're starting to stagnate. So that's my job, to reinvigorate the team. And leadership roles will change. So as the more you grow, the bigger you get, you move from, so like in the corporate director role, where I oversee 6 campuses, that I can't go do admissions at every single campus. So I'm more like the conductor of the orchestra, not the violin player. And or the section leader. I'm now in front, and I'm the guy that's going, all right, you do this, you do that. I'm not physically able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I at one point had an admissions rep on my team that told me, and it reminds me of what you have come to do with me. I talked about this, I think, on the very first Ask the Coach episode, was, well, what do you think? Okay, go do that. Which, and like you said, it wasn't right away. It was for a very long time. It was, well, we should do this because this, and, does that make sense? And then, learning along the way. And then eventually it's, well, what do you think? But yeah, one of my admissions reps at one point said that when she had a question, and she worked with us for over a year. And so at that point, she told me that she would think to herself, what would Caitlin do? And I love that. But eventually it is, well, what does Aaron want to do? What does John want to do?
Right.
And hopefully they match up.
And that's what you want. You want your people to know what you do. And that's what makes you a great leader, is your processes and procedures are so ingrained and so easy. There should be for the basic things. Like that's one I'll always think about is, I remember I showed up to one event or one practice and I look and I'd already told the team practice is I will be out there at 3:05. And I had a teacher meeting that I had to go to, so I knew I'd be late. So I come jogging out to the field. That was one thing I always did. If you were late, you better be jogging. So if I was late, I was going to jog. I wasn't going to walk out there. And so I'm jogging out there and I get to practice and they're going through stretches and there's 3 guys running around the field. I'm like, how long have they been running for? Coach, he's on his last one and that one's still got, he's got 2 more and he's got 3 more. I was like, all right. Because that was the rule.
Yeah,
you're late, you run a lap.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it on their own. I didn't have to, all right, now who was late? They knew. It's funny. They'd just show up and like, yep, I know. That. What's the time? Oh, 3:02. All right. They'd go hit their 2 laps. And they should just, even other things, like if it was, and I don't even know what other ones would come up, but they should be able to go, yeah, he wouldn't do that. Or, yeah, he would do that. So it's basic decisions. You want your team because that allows you to go and work on the business, not inside the business. So, there's a reason that the captain of the ship is at the top looking out. If we're talking old school ships, they're higher up than everybody else, shouting out commands. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Because they can see what's going on ahead, whereas you down here, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
So
the people on the bottom got to trust their captain, though. I'm following orders. I'm trusting that you're seeing what you need to see and you're giving the correct orders. So
right, and that's another crucial one. You got to create that trust. Me and my friend Corey talk about this all the time. When I took my vacation, we went and played golf, and he was like, "Dude, I can't begin to tell you how important it is for your people to trust you."
100%.
You lose trust, you lose the team.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
For sure. Yeah. Incredible questions again. It's just been so fun. And like I said, this is really becoming a viewer favorite. And it's really exciting. 3 episodes down, man.
And a huge shout out to whoever submitted those. We don't have the names. I do love the Google form. So if it was your question, awesome. And I'm always blown away at how thoughtful and honest our listeners are. And I always and I'm going to keep telling you, growth doesn't come from having all the right answers. It comes from asking the right questions.
Exactly why we're here today. Right. And if we didn't get to your questions this time, don't worry. We've got more episodes of Ask the Coach coming later. So just keep those questions coming our way and maybe we'll answer your questions on one of our next episodes.
Exactly. And guys, they drop a comment below. Because I forgot to ask that. Tell us your opinion. Let us know what you think about, should a leader work themselves out of it. If you have a question, drop it below. Click on that Google form and go give it to us. That we always love doing this. Okay. And so if you are ready to take the next step, whether it's through personal coaching, leadership development, or finding clarity in your next move, let's connect. Visit me on my website or email me directly, aaron@coachaclark.com. All of that is listed below. I would absolutely love to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us on this special Ask the Coach edition of the Clark Connection podcast. Again, be sure to subscribe, follow the show, leave a review, drop a comment, and share it with someone who's serious about their growth journey. Maybe this is exactly what they need to hear.
Yes. And a huge shout out, Andrew at Automate Integrate, for sponsoring the show. They show him some love as well. And so remember, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Keep growing, keep leading, stay connected. And until next time, we'll see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_a_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with CNJ Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.